The Infinity Gauntlet tore into the Star Wars galaxy through a wound in reality above Mustafar, a screaming violet rift that bled cosmic radiation. It fell like a meteor, striking the black sands near Vader's fortress with the force of a dying star. The impact sent seismic waves through the volcanic crust, and for 300 kilometers, the lava rivers surged backward. Darth Vader felt its arrival not through the Force, but through the sudden silence. The dark side's constant whisper, the pain, the anger, the drumbeat of his own heartbeat, vanished. For the first time in 20 years, he heard only his own breath in his helmet. He emerged from his meditation chamber, his black cape cutting through sulphurous air, and strode toward the crater. The gauntlet lay half-buried, glowing with internal fire. 6 stones pulsed in their settings: space, blue; reality, red; power, purple; soul, orange; time, green; and mind, yellow. They were not of this universe. The Force did not touch them. They were whole absences, hungers. Vader extended a gloved hand. The Force should have lifted the gauntlet to him. Nothing happened. He stepped into the crater, his boots crunching on crystallized sand. As his fingers closed around the gauntlet's wrist, reality screamed. The Power Stone ignited first. Purple energy exploded up his arm, shattering his armor's durasteel plating, vaporizing the synthetic flesh beneath. He saw his own skeleton glowing through skin. The Mind Stone fired next. Yellow light pierced his helmet, his skull, his brain, and suddenly he was everywhere. He felt every stormtrooper's boredom on the Death Star, every TIE pilot's fear, every slave's despair in the Outer Rim, Emperor Palpatine's cold satisfaction on Coruscant, Luke Skywalker's restless dreams on Tatooine, all at once, a galaxy's consciousness flooding a broken mind. He collapsed to one knee, the gauntlet still gripped in a hand, now smoking with cosmic power. With a roar of mechanical agony, he slammed it onto his right hand. The universe bowed. Mountains rose from Mustafar's lava plains. Stars twisted into impossible patterns overhead. Time stuttered. Lava flows froze mid-splash, then reversed. Vader saw himself as Anakin, as a Jedi, as a corpse, as a god. All possibilities flashing through the Time Stone's green fire. And then he understood, not through the Force, through something older. These stones did not bend to will. They consumed it. They offered power absolute, the power to remake reality with a thought. But they demanded a mind strong enough to hold them without shattering. His first thought was Padme. The reality stone glowed red. Before him in the sulphurous air, she shimmered into existence, smiling, alive, reaching for him. He gasped, the sound raw in his vocoder. But as his finger twitched toward her, the soul stone burned orange. He saw the truth. This was not her soul. This was a puppet of light and memory, an empty echo. His hope curdled into rage. With a scream that cracked the volcanic rock for kilometers, he clenched his new fist. The entire Mustafar system blinked. If you want to see what a Sith Lord does with godlike power, subscribe now. The destruction has only begun. Emperor Palpatine felt the disturbance light years away. Not through the Force, but through its sudden absence. A hole had opened in the galaxy's fabric, and the dark side was draining toward it like water toward a drain. His hollow projector flickered. Grand Moff Tarkin appeared, his face uncharacteristically strained. "Your Majesty," Tarkin said. "Mustafar has changed." The display showed sensor feeds. Mustafar's planetary mass now read as fluctuating. Its star was aging backwards, and the entire system was surrounded by a spatial anomaly that defied hyperspace mechanics. "Lord Vader?" Palpatine asked, already knowing. "His fortress is at the epicenter. Communications are dead, but our probes detected this." The image switched. Vader stood on a plateau of solidified lightning, the gauntlet glowing on his hand, staring at a sky where 2 moons now orbited each other in perfect, impossible synchronization. Palpatine's smile was all teeth. "He has found a toy. Summon the 501st Legion. Prepare my personal shuttle. And alert Director Krennic. I want the Death Star's super laser targeting Mustafar on standby." "To destroy Lord Vader?" "To remind him," Palpatine whispered, "who holds the leash." On Mustafar, Vader experimented. A clench of his fist, the Power Stone flaring, shattered a continent. An open palm, Space Stone, glowing, compressed a mountain range into a diamond the size of his fist. He learned quickly, broad strokes were easy. Precision required focus. To remake a single leaf, he had to understand every cell, every molecule. The stones gave unlimited power, but understanding was the bottleneck. His second creation was more ambitious. He thought of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, not as it was, but as it should have been. His throne, the Reality Stone, burned. Across the galaxy, on Coruscant, the Imperial Palace shimmered. For 3 heartbeats, it transformed into an obsidian ziggurat pulsing with dark energy, spires shaped like lightsabers stabbing the sky. Then it collapsed back into its original form, leaving thousands dead in structural failure. The backlash hit Vader like a physical blow. The Soul Stone screamed. He felt every death on Coruscant, not just their pain, but the emptiness where their souls had been. The gauntlet was feeding on them. Each use of reality-warping power required sacrifice, and the stones were hungry. That's when the Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 30 Star Destroyers surrounding the planet. Palpatine's shuttle descended through the kaleidoscopic atmosphere. Vader waited, the gauntlet humming with barely restrained power. Palpatine emerged, leaning on his cane, his yellow eyes immediately locking onto the golden weapon. "My friend," he crooned, "what have you brought me?" "Power," Vader rasped. "Absolute power. Power you do not understand." Palpatine's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "I feel it. That device is not of our universe. It is a cancer. Give it to me." "No." Palpatine's expression darkened. "You dare." The Mind Stone pulsed. Vader saw Palpatine's thought, not as impressions, but as clear as text. "He will betray me. He must be broken. The gauntlet will be mine, and I will unmake this galaxy and rebuild it as my perfect empire." "You fear me," Vader realized aloud. Palpatine's lightning came without warning. Blue-white forks shattered the air, striking Vader's chest plate. But before they could connect, the Power Stone flashed purple. The lightning reversed, coiling back around Palpatine, lifting him off the ground. He screamed, not in pain, but in outrage. "I could unmake you," Vader said, stepping forward. "With a thought, I could make it so you never existed." "Then do it!" Palpatine spat, struggling against his own contained energy. "If you have the strength." Vader hesitated. The Soul Stone throbbed. Killing Palpatine required not just power, but will. The will to sacrifice whatever part of his own soul remained. And in that hesitation, Palpatine struck psychically, driving a blade of dark side energy through their force connection. Vader staggered. The gauntlet's control wavered. Palpatine broke free, landing gracefully. "You, see? You are still a child. That weapon requires a master's hand." He extended his own gnarled fingers. "Give it to me, and I may forgive this insurrection." Above them, the Star Destroyers powered their turbolasers. Targeting lasers painted Vader's chest. Vader made his decision, not with the gauntlet, but with the Force. He reached upward, through the corrupted atmosphere, through the fleet, into the cold dark, and seized one Star Destroyer with telekinetic might. The vessel, 2 kilometers long, shuddered. Then he swung it like a club into the adjacent ship. The collision silenced Mustafar. 2 Imperial behemoths crumpled together in a ballet of exploding decks and shattering hulls. The shockwave blew Palpatine off his feet. Vader didn't wait. He clenched the Space Stone. Blue light enveloped him. He vanished. He reappeared in the vacuum above the fleet, floating before the bridge of Palpatine's flagship, the Executor. Through the viewport, he saw officers scrambling. He raised his gauntlet. The Power Stone glowed. He made a tearing motion. The Executor's bridge tower ripped clean off, spinning into space. Atmosphere and bodies vomited into the void. Vader floated through the breach, into the artificial gravity of the main deck. Alarms howled. Stormtroopers fired. He didn't bother deflecting. The blaster bolts froze in midair, then reversed, killing their shooters. He was learning. The stones responded to clarity of intent. To remake a solar system required understanding astrophysics. To kill a man required only desire. He marched toward the throne room. Imperial guards, crimson armor, force pikes, charged. The Reality Stone flickered. Their armor turned to water. their bodies to smoke. They dissolved. Palpatine waited on his throne, lightning already crackling between his fingers. "You think you have won? You have only proven you are a dog that must be put down." "The Death Star," Vader rasped. "You ordered it to target Mustafar, to kill me." "Of course. Then what?" Vader closed his eyes. He reached through the Mind Stone, across light years, into the Death Star's control room. He saw Director Krennic, arrogant and anxious. He inserted a single thought, clear as a command. "The target is Coruscant." On the other side of the galaxy, the Death Star's super laser powered up. Panic erupted on the bridge. Krennic, eyes glazed with forced conviction, gave the order. The green beam fired, not at Mustafar, but at the galactic capital. Vader opened a portal with the Space Stone. The super laser bolt tore through hyperspace, exiting above Mustafar, and curved downward toward Palpatine's fleet. Palpatine's scream was pure fury. He unleashed every ounce of his power, a storm of lightning that melted the deck plates, that would have vaporized a planet. Vader crossed his arms. The Power Stone created a violet shield. The lightning struck it and dissipated. The Death Star's beam hit the fleet. 12 Star Destroyers vanished in atomic fire. In the silence that followed, Vader stood over his master. "The apprentice has become the master." Palpatine laughed, a wet, broken sound. "Fool, you have destroyed my fleet, but you have not won. Look." He pointed a trembling finger at the gauntlet. The Soul Stone was dark. The others flickered weakly. "It feeds on life," Palpatine hissed. "Every reality you walk, every death you cause, it consumes their essence. You are running out of fuel. And when it drains the last of what you fed it, it will drain you." Vader looked down. He felt it now, a hollow ache in the gauntlet, a hunger. The thousands who died on the Star Destroyers, their souls were already gone, digested. "There is always more life in the galaxy," Vader said. "Yes," Palpatine smiled, "but can you kill fast enough?" News spread. The rebellion intercepted Imperial transmissions about Mustafar. Princess Leia Organa saw the footage. Vader wielding a golden weapon that bent reality. Luke Skywalker felt it, a terrible wrongness in the Force. "He's not using the dark side," Luke said, aboard the Rebel flagship. "He's using something else, something that's eating the Force." "Then we stop him," Leia said. "We have to." "How?" "He just destroyed an Imperial fleet by turning it against itself," a new voice said. Ahsoka Tano emerged from the shadows, her white lekku streaked with ash. She'd come alone, in a stolen shuttle. "I felt the disturbance across the galaxy. That device, it's a wound in reality. And Vader is making it worse." Luke stared at the Togruta. He'd heard stories. "You knew him before." "I knew Anakin," Ahsoka said softly. "What's on Mustafar is what Palpatine made him. But this gauntlet, it could unmakes everything. I've scouted the edge of the system. Reality is unraveling. Time loops, spatial folds. It's spreading." Leia brought up a holographic map. The Vader anomaly was expanding at light speed. Planets near Mustafar were already affected. One had its day-night cycle stuck at dusk. Another had duplicates of cities overlapping in space. "The Empire is in chaos," Leia said. "Palpatine's forces are retreating from Mustafar. This is our chance. We hit Vader with everything while he's distracted." Ahsoka shook her head. "You can't fight that thing with X-Wings. It rewrites physics. Your lasers might turn to flowers mid-flight." "Then what do you suggest?" Ahsoka looked at Luke. "We appeal to what's left of Anakin Skywalker, and we give him a choice." Vader stood atop his reforged fortress, now a spire of black crystal that hummed with captive starlight. He held a dying star in his palm, compressed by the Space Stone, feeding its energy to the Power Stone. The gauntlet glowed steadily now. He'd learned to ration, to kill efficiently. An Imperial penal colony on a nearby moon, 50,000 lives, had bought him an hour of stable power. He felt the approaching rebel fleet, 100 ships. Pitiful, he could scatter them with a thought. But one presence made him pause. Ahsoka and another, younger, brighter, Luke. He clenched his fist. The Reality Stone shimmered. The rebel fleet suddenly found itself orbiting a different star, a red giant with violent solar flares. They scrambled to recalculate jumps, but 2 ships got through. Luke's X-Wing and Ahsoka's shuttle. They landed on the crystal plains. Vader let them. Curiosity, sentiment, he wasn't sure. They approached, Ahsoka with her white lightsabers ignited, Luke with his green blade. "Anakin," Ahsoka called, her voice amplified by her helmet. Vader descended from his spire, floating down on a platform of solidified shadow. "That name no longer has meaning." "It does to me," she said. "And to him." She gestured to Luke. Vader's helmet turned. "Skywalker, Father," Luke said. "Please, that weapon, it's destroying everything. I can feel the galaxy screaming." "The galaxy has screamed for years," Vader rasped. "Now it screams for a reason. I am bringing order by killing millions, by remaking reality so that no one suffers, so that Padme never died, so that the Jedi never fell, so that the Empire never rose." Ahsoka stepped forward. "And what happens to the people who live in that new reality, the ones who exist now? Do they just vanish? They will be happier." "You don't know that," Luke shouted. "You can't play God. I am a god." Vader raised the gauntlet. The stones blazed. "With this, I can fix everything. Everything you have lost. Everything I have lost." Ahsoka's voice broke. "You can't fix the past, Anakin. You can only choose what you do now." Vader hesitated. The soul stone flickered, not with power, but with memory. He saw Padme's face, not the illusion, but the real memory, her dying words. "There's still good in you." Luke felt the shift. He extinguished his lightsaber. "Father, I believe in you. Not the Emperor, not the Sith, you." Palpatine's voice suddenly crackled through the gauntlet, channeled through the Mind Stone. "Kill them. They are weak. They will take your power. You must be strong." The Time Stone flared green. Vader saw two futures branching. Future 1. He kills Luke and Ahsoka. He uses the gauntlet to resurrect Padme, but the resurrected Padme looks at him with empty eyes. A puppet of the Soul Stone. He rules a perfect, empty universe, alone, forever. Future 2. He stops. He looked at his son, at his former apprentice. At the gauntlet, the Power Stone pulsed, eager for violence. Vader chose. He turned the gauntlet inward. "No!" Palpatine's psychic scream tore across light years. Vader focused on the stones, not to use them, but to understand them. The Mind Stone showed him their history, a universe where Titans wielded them, where entire civilizations were erased for their energy, where the gauntlet was not a tool but a predator that consumed realities. The Soul Stone revealed its price. It demanded sacrifice because it fed on love, on loss. And he realized the gauntlet wasn't just dangerous because of its power. It was dangerous because it offered exactly what he wanted, a chance to undo his pain, and to do that, it would consume everything else. Luke saw his father tremble. "What is it?" "It shows me a universe without suffering," Vader said, his voice quieter than they'd ever heard it. "But to create it, I must sacrifice this universe, every soul, every memory, everything that is." "Then don't," Ahsoka pleaded. "Choose us. Choose what's real." Palpatine arrived, not in person, but as a projection of pure dark side energy, a spectral giant looming over the crystal spire. "Fool, you have the power to remake creation in your image, and you hesitate for sentiment. Give me the gauntlet." Vader looked at the projection, then at Luke. He made his decision. He ripped the gauntlet from his hand. The effect was instantaneous. Reality snapped back with violent force. The crystal spire shattered into dust. The distorted sky reverted to Mustafar's normal volcanic gloom. The power vanished, leaving Vader feeling hollow, frail, more machine than man than ever. The gauntlet clattered to the ground, its stones dimmed. Palpatine's projection lunged for it. So did Luke. But Ahsoka was faster. She scooped it up with the Force and screamed. The stone's residual energy surged through her. She fell to her knees, the gauntlet smoking in her grip. "It's alive. It wants destroy it," Vader rasped, collapsing against a rock. "The stones cannot be destroyed here. Their energy must be dispersed." "How?" Luke asked, catching Ahsoka as she swayed. Vader pointed to Mustafar's core, the planetary furnace. The heat might scatter their atomic structure across dimensions. Palpatine's laughter echoed. "You think that will work? The gauntlet has touched this universe now. Its hunger is here. It will always return. Then we fight it every time," Luke said. Together, Vader, Luke, and Ahsoka, they carried the gauntlet to the edge of a lava river. The heat was unimaginable. Vader's armor alarms shrieked warnings. "You must throw it," Vader told Luke. My systems are failing. Luke took the gauntlet. It felt cold, dead, but deep inside, he felt a whisper. You could bring back your aunt and uncle, your childhood, your innocence. He shook his head. I choose what's real. He threw it into the lava. The gauntlet sank. For a moment, nothing. Then, a light show that dwarfed supernovas. 6 beams of energy shot upward, piercing the atmosphere, disappearing into the cosmic void. The stones were gone, returned to their native universe, destroyed, scattered. No one knew. Palpatine's projection faded. His final words, a hiss. This is not over. Apprentice. Silence. Vader slumped. Luke called him. Father, the Emperor will come for me, Vader said, his breath ragged. I am weak. Then come with us, Luke said. We'll protect you. Vader looked at his son, at Ahsoka. He did something he hadn't done in decades. He placed a hand on Luke's shoulder, a human gesture. No, my place is here, to face what I have done. You don't have to face it alone. But Vader was already walking away, into the ashes of his fortress, a broken man in broken armor. In a broken world he had broken. Luke watched him go. Ahsoka put a hand on his shoulder. He made his choice. Now we make ours. She looked at the sky where the stones had vanished. This universe is wounded. That thing left a scar, and scars attract infection. On the ground where the gauntlet had fallen, one of the stones had left a mark, a tiny red crystal, a shard of the reality stone, no larger than a coin, pulsing softly. Luke picked it up. It showed him a fleeting image, another universe, another gauntlet, another desperate hand reaching for it. He closed his fist around it. We'll be ready. The gauntlet is destroyed, but the multiverse is wounded. Where will the next rift open? Subscribe and hit the bell. The infinite galaxy multiverse has only begun to collide.